really excited to share this podcast with you guys. JC is the best medic that the Canadian Forces ever made. Saved many lives, and he continues to do that as well. So, introducing just a super great dude, Canadian hero.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Gotcha.
Gotcha, buddy. How you doing?
Good.
All right. So this is podcast number 3.
Yep.
So happy to have you on here. Had one of our buddies, Eric, on for the first one. So
Yeah.
you know,
I watched it.
Yeah, you can let Eric know that we're leveling up.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah. I won't be the one telling him that.
So
Yeah.
I love you. To me, you are the greatest medic that the Canadian Forces, and I know you're a humble guy, but for all the people watching, JC served as a medic in the Canadian Armed Forces for how long?
26 years.
That's amazing.
Roughly. Yeah.
So I want to go way back before we get into the meat of when we were so lucky to get to work with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where were you born?
I was born in New Brunswick, small town, northern New Brunswick, a fishing community called Tabs and Tack, just north of like Chatham would be a base that people might know, but yeah.
What was it like there?
Well, I moved a lot. I was a base brat, so I was born like in Chatham area. Then we moved to Gagetown or Oromocto, lived there for a little bit, and then moved to Winnipeg. And then my father finally retired, I think around 80, and moved back to New Brunswick. So although it was only 10 years worth of traveling, it wasn't most of my time was spent in New Brunswick. So yeah.
So you were born in 70.
70, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was your dad? Was your dad infantry guy or?
No. He was admin clerk. Yeah, master warrant officer, admin. Yeah,
So
and then he retired and went and worked at the post office in that small town there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
good for him.
How old were you when you thought about signing up?
Yeah. So I don't think I ever really thought about it until my first year of university. So I went off to university at 18, whatever. And I did a lot of partying.
No.
Did a lot of I had a good time and didn't go to a lot of classes. So I got through the entire year, managed to get a couple of credits, and I came home and I told my dad, after spending, $15,000 of his money in a year at university, like, maybe I should join the military. And he goes, yeah, maybe you should. That's a really good idea.
That's great. Which university
Yeah.
did you go to?
What's that?
What university did you go to? And what were you screwing up so bad?
Okay. So I went to l'Université de Moncton, which is Moncton University in New Brunswick. And my goal was to be a phys ed teacher. But lo and behold, who knew that you had to do history and math and all that stuff in university as well? I thought I was going to play badminton and, just work out and stuff like that. No, apparently not. You really had to school. So, yeah, I was very naive and didn't get a lot of stuff done. I played a lot of hockey, though. I was good at it.
I never knew why you were so good at all that stuff.
Yeah, well, that's ping pong, foosball, you name it.
Well, I was always better at foosball, but
yeah, I don't know about that. Intercontinental ballistic missile. You had a name for every move.
All right, guys. I'm kidding. JC is probably one of the most gifted hand-eye coordinated people that I've ever met. Ping pong, foosball. This guy's on a different level. I spent at least a tour trying to beat him, and I think I beat him once when he was asleep. And that was about it. Even though normally I'm not this nice to him.
Yeah, no, that's right.
So okay, so you got back from partying. Your dad was like, "Quit wasting our money."
Yeah. So I joined. I did. Actually, my first choice was military police. I didn't get that. I got medic right off the bat. Otherwise, I would have had to wait for months or years. So I got in, and yeah, it's pretty much. I went through. Oh man, I went through basic training in December. So the beginning of December, and we did 2 weeks, and then we got to go home for Christmas. And that I don't recommend for anybody. You want to get your 10 or 12 weeks or whatever it was at the time done. And it's so shitty to go home for, 2 weeks and then come back to that hell. I think a lot of people didn't come back. Actually, they're like, yeah, I'm pulling plug on this. This is so much better to be home. So, yeah. And it was Cornwallis at the time, too. So it wasn't far from where I lived, but it was, not fun going back. Yeah,
I was on the same schedule. I did Christmas break as well when I signed up. But what year was that?
48 was so it was the last course of 1990. Yeah.
Okay.
And then off I went to Borden for my TQ3s or QL3 medic course. Yeah.
Awesome. What was it like? I mean, I know what it's like to be an infantry guy and then where we met, but what was it like being a medic before? When did you get to the Hill?
So I didn't get to the Hill till 2003, I guess it would have been. Yeah, early 2003 is when I got there. So when my first posting was Petawawa, and I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't know about airborne. I didn't know really. Although my dad was an admin clerk, I never really paid attention to the military at all. So when I went there and saw these guys in maroon berets, I'm like, oh, I got to get my jump course. So within months, because I was pretty fit back then, and they had a airborne evac into field ambulance. So I went and did my jump course. Actually, my first jump was November 11th. It was Remembrance Day, 1991, I guess. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So I've always, had the camaraderie of having these types of physically fit, non-lazy people that you want to be around and work hard. And so, it was kind of a natural progression to kind of go that route to get to the Hill. And even at the Hill, most of those guys that were in the evac, they were all at the Hill as well. So it wasn't a fluke that these same people kind of progressed to there.
Right. Mm-hmm. Was it? I mean, when you got there to Ottawa, I mean, I remember really the thing that I remember most is the tour that we did together.
Yeah.
That was some wild times. I was hoping to, and I know that you were involved in so much stuff. Like as a non-combat arms guy, I know that you've probably been in more stuff than probably 90+% of even like the hardcore infantry dudes out there. I know you got a lot of wild stories, wild experiences that I think that a lot of people could benefit and really love to hear about.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely a shit magnet, and that's from my first tour right through to, my last tour. I've always somehow attracted shit from, my first tour to Croatia, where Teschioni and Badani were hit. I was one of the first guys to help them out of the Jeep when I'm yelling at them to not park in front of the UMS or the BMS, saying, you can't park there. I could smell gas, and it was just the Jeep was lit up. Like I think it's in the one of the museums right now, the Canadian Military Museum, with the 43 or something bullet holes in there. Yeah, so from that to my tour to Bosnia, we had the riots in what the heck was the name of it? Drvar riots. Yeah, that was another exciting tour, I guess. Not that it was compared to some of the Afghanistan stuff. Yeah, this was things that you don't think happen on a lot of tours were happening when I was around.
Lucky guy.
To the point where people in Afghanistan didn't even want to go out the gate with me because they knew, or they would say, "Put your ear defenders on because every time you don't have them on, we get hit. So just keep them on all the time." So that was the joke.
About Bosnia that much. What happened? What happened on those two incidents?
Yeah, well, the one, so Croatia, 94, 95, it would have been New Year's Eve, 1994. So going into 95, if I'm not mistaken, that's when Teschioni and Badani were coming back from they were trying to get through a checkpoint, come back from an OP, if I'm not mistaken. And something that pissed off the Serbs, I believe it was, that day. And so that basically, spilled into that evening when they were coming back from their OP, going through this checkpoint, and they got just lit up. But he just pushed through, kept going with, holes. They had, I can't remember how many bullet holes each of them had in there, or lodged bullets in them. But yeah, it was, that would have been my first experience, treating trauma casualties. And luckily, it was a whole, unit of medical staff, doctors, nurses, and medics, PAs, all there. So, yeah, it was lucky for them that they drove right up to the UMS and were able to be treated right away, and then evac'd off, and they were both good to this day. I actually did Invictus Games with Badani in 2017.
You a golf player too?
No, he did rowing, I think, and a couple other things. I think rugby or basketball, one of the wheelchair basketball. Yeah.
And the riots? I heard a lot about the riots. Were you right in the mix?
So I was not. So we heard it over the radio as it was happening, and I'm talking, they're screaming coming over the radio, and it sounds scary because this is all happening. And then for some reason, I don't know why they didn't have medical coverage down there. So we got in Bison Am, two of us, no escorts. So I was driving the Bison, and we had another medic at the time get in, and off we went. And we start driving down to where the parade, it wasn't a parade square, but like a big squares where it all was taking place. And we're driving down, and there's cars flipped over, on fire, and it's like just surreal driving through this. And it's like, why are we going down here with no, like, the reaction to not go was, it was there, but you just could not go down. They had no medical help whatsoever. Now, luckily, there weren't any injuries per se on the military side. There were a few civilian casualties that we dealt with, but yeah, for the most part. So it was super scary, going down, especially hearing the screaming on the radio, and they're coming up this side and yada, 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 and then driving and seeing cars flipped over on fire, and you're thinking, is this for real? Like, this looks like a movie, how, surreal this is. But yeah.
That was 98, right?
That would have been 98. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, we did the tour before that, and it was super quiet.
Okay. Well, and it's not like there was a lot of other stuff, but that was just one big incident that happened, right? The rest of the time you're working out the whole time. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For good tours.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I remember we met when you got to Ottawa, and yeah, we went over and we had a pretty wild time over there. The one.
Let me tell you the story of. So I knew you, and you probably knew me. So I was in one RCR up until 2000, and then I got posted to Kingston for a little stint, but I didn't like it, so I ended up applying to the Hill after 9/11. But when I first got to the Hill, and I was sent down to the squadrons, um, see this bottle of water. So for those that don't know, I'm gonna, school people here on, what not to do when you're new to a squadron. So what they like to do was they would go to the new people and they would smell the water and they go, "Oh my God, this water stinks." And then everyone, the moment the first person would do it, everyone would get into it. And they're like, "Yeah, my water does stink." And I'm sniffing my own, like, "No, I don't smell anything." And then Devon comes along and says, "Well, you should smell mine." And he put it up to my nose, and everyone was waiting for it. I could see people gathering around. I don't know what's going on. And it's like, put up to the nose to sniff it. And then he crunched it, and it all went. Now, lucky for me, when you did it, it bent the bottle, and most of it went sideways, and I only got a little in my face. But yeah, I would have gotten a lot up my nose if that were the case. So yeah, I tend not to warn the new medics that are going down there, so they still get their lesson learned on being. It's like going to look for checker paint or a contour line. That's kind of how I felt that day.
Yeah,
Hmm?
that was one of my proudest moments. I felt a little bit bad about it, but I was like, oh,
You got to follow through, and I didn't blame you whatsoever. It's like, you got me. Yeah.
Yeah, it was what shortly after that we went over. You had, I feel like you did a whole bunch, but there was like three that really stand out for me. And I wasn't on all of them with you. The first one there when you guys went up TK.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was mobility, right?
That was mobility, and so that was, I think, my first ever time coming under contact with the enemy. So actually getting fired at. And it is kind of a funny story because we were held up because of a river was pretty high. So we met up with Americans that we were supposed to go to their camp for the night, but we ended up staying basically right beside the river, and the Americans were on the other side. So we're down for the night, and everyone gets a chance to be, on the gun or whatever. So I'm sleeping in my little hooch close to the my Humvee, and I'm really close. Like I'm basically right beside it, right? So I'm good for the night. I'm out. I could hear chatter that they could see people, on the other side of the river and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm surrounded by a bunch of the best soldiers in the world, and then we have Americans on the other side on top of that. So sure enough, I don't know what time it is. It's the middle of the night. We start getting, we come under fire. So we're getting, and so again, this is my first time ever coming under fire, and I could see, tracers going basically past me, right? So I'm still in my sleeping bag, but so I'm just crunching down more. I'm like, okay, we're under fire. The firefights on the other side. I'm going to try and sleep through this because I'm pretty tired. and seriously, what am I going to change this fight? Like, am I going to be the dude that makes the difference, right? Completely against everything that we've learned. Like, you're supposed to win the firefight, all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to try and sleep through it. So then I hear over my head, "Get off the 50." I'm getting on it. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? And I'm like, oh God, that 50's super loud. And if he lights that up, my ears. So I get out of my sleep bag as fast as I can and run and get my ear pro on. and he never fired. But so this is me in a firefight, stripped down to basically underwear, like no boots on. I didn't, I wasn't prepared for any of this. So now there's a firefight going on, and I'm in my underwear and my Peltor headset on, basically. That's all I have. I don't have my weapon. It's right beside me, but I'm not carrying it. I'm just, so then I'm like, okay, well, he's not firing it. I'm just going to go back into bed. And if someone tells me I got to do something, I'll do it. But yeah, that was my first experience with, coming under contact. Yeah.
I heard it was really, really cold for parts of that.
Yeah, it was. Well, you think Afghanistan, you think it's super hot. Well, at night it gets pretty cold. So I didn't mind. And again, we're in Humvees with doors off and no windows and all that stuff. So you need goggles and you need all that stuff. But yeah, I dressed appropriately, and I'm not a light guy, to say the least. So I did okay. I didn't freeze too much. A skinny bear doesn't survive the winter, or something like that. Yeah, actually, I think it was that first tour that I went on that is where I got my call sign.
Starlight Heavy.
Star Heavy. There's no light in JC, right?
It's Star Heavy. Star Heavy.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, Starlight is the call sign for a medic. But someone came up with, there's nothing light about JC, so we're calling him Star Heavy, and it's stuck pretty much. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
But I thought that a whole bunch of guys were like hypothermic or something on that one. That's why a lot of them were better on the next one.
If they were, it doesn't. We should have started this by disclaimer saying, between the both of us, we're not going to remember half of what's happened. My mind is not as sharp as it used to be. I don't remember. Oh no, the hypothermic was the once we were in TK and went out with the Aussies. That's where, because we were only supposed to go out for a few hours, but something had happened, and they took all air assets. They took everything, including the helos that we came in on, for whatever was going on. There was troops in contact, and I think maybe there was a helo down somewhere or something. So they took all assets away. So we had to stay there an entire night, and none of us had, really anything on us except for, battle gear, like just full fighting order, basically. Yeah. And
it was raining or something, right?
It was miserable night. It was miserable. It was, I remember it so, how cold it really was, and it was rainy and just miserable, to the point where I'm like, I'm just going to sneak down out of the perimeter where we're all surrounded, and I'm going to come back up, and hopefully someone will shoot me because I'm so freaking cold. And I'm going to come up like this with my poncho on. Yeah, no one shot me though. So, yeah, no luck there.
Yeah, I
was hoping
remember.
to get you back.
Remember, like, we were just hearing about it back on camp. We were getting all the updates.
Yeah. Because everything changed so quickly on that one. I do remember now that that would have been with the guys from TK, and yeah, a lot of stuff changed. So all because of something happened somewhere else, and they took all our assets. Yeah.
And so I've seen a lot of cool stuff over the years, but what I saw on the next one, dude, forever. I mean, forever. You're big hero to me for what you did on the next mission that we were on together. So many things went wrong on it, and I'm not going to say the name of some of the guys because they're still working, but few of the guys, yourself included, amazing. And I'd love to hear, like, it's funny because, even when there's like 10 people in the same room and you get them to tell a story, everybody's got like a little bit different memory. So I'd love it if you kind of told that from your perspective, because for me, dude, you're a lifesaver on that day.
Okay, so yeah, you obviously didn't see what I was sucking my thumb in the corner then. Actually, yeah. So I'll tell my story that I remember, and again, not sure how much I do remember that's really accurate, but so everything that we're talking about are in books that are out for the public knowledge, right? It's out there, and like you said, I don't plan on saying any names or anything like that, but basically, we were going in on a hit, and in a Chinook helicopter. Now, I won't give numbers or anything like that, but basically, I was way up at the front of the helo, like right next to the hull where it separates into the pilots, right? And so I could hear the what was basically going on between the pilots and the boss who was relaying stuff to us. So broad daylight out, not good to start as we're coming in, and the pilots are saying, this is a hot LZ. It's not a good place to land. We have to find an alternate landing spot, which I think we had, but being the medic, I only know so much, right? So I hear that, and I'm transferring back and forth whatever they're saying. So I'm yelling out, hot LZ, moving to a new location. I didn't really know until the door gunners started firing that we were basically, coming under fire. So everything happened really quickly, right? And but I do remember at one point, as I'm screaming back and forth of what the pilot's telling the boss, and I'm trying to relay that message out as well, I look back out the ramp, and it's ablaze. It's on fire, right? Like I'm like, holy shit, we're going down, and we're going down pretty quickly. And that's when, in my own mind, I'm like, okay, there's absolutely nothing I can do. My fate is in the pilot's hands. My fate is in, God's hands right now, and there's nothing I can do other than, make peace with what's happening. Until we crashed, and the helo basically stopped moving. We were right side up, and that's when I'm like, okay, fuck that. Now I can do something. I'm back on solid ground, and it's no longer the pilot's, choice, or it's no longer me having to worry about the pilot to help me get to where I need to go, right? So we're on the ground, and that's when, okay, there's two ways out. There is the back, which is completely on fire, so I'm not going to go out that way. Or there's the door gunner's hatch, which has a gun in it, and it's small to begin with. It's not very big. I'm a pretty big, guy. I have a big med bag on, and I'm looking at this window, and there's already like 3 people stuck trying to get out. Like it's a complete congestion. So I'm looking at the back. I'm looking at this window, and I'm like, fuck this. I'm pulling a George Costanza, and I basically plowed through the window, and all those people that were stuck, because I remember the one guy saying it was like the hand of God grabbed me and threw me out the window because I was stuck. Well, I didn't care about him. I cared about getting the fuck out of that helicopter. So I literally George Costanza'd it, right, plowed through everyone, and everyone basically went flying out of that window that were stuck. And then it's like, okay, we're on solid ground. Everyone take up a perimeter around the helicopter. So that's what I did. I went to the 12 o'clock position, me and I think one of the EOD guys, if I'm not mistaken, or no, the interpreter actually. So we're at the
guy who came on camp like 3 days earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Who had no idea what was going on, and so we but I remember, so I'm at the 12 o'clock position, and we're taking up. We're not under active fire at this time because I think they've either dispersed or so there's no active firing going on, but you're still, your head's on a swivel, right? And I could hear the rotors of the helicopter, and I just glanced up and realized the rotors are now dropping, and it was like this close to my head, and I'm like, holy shit! So I'm yelling like, everybody, get your head down or move out of the rotor, rotation. So that kind of freaked me out, that how close we were to, getting decapitated by the rotor itself. So, this is all going on. I'm thinking in my mind, fire, fuel, explosion. So we need to get out of here. This is all again in my mind, right? I don't know that there's separation at this time, and I don't know that, it's not going to explode. So that's when I first heard over the radio that, there's still people in the helicopter and we need to get them out. By this time, I'm already halfway up the hill with half the people were bounding up this mountainside, because it's basically, we were in a little valley and then there's mountains on either side, right? So we're starting to climb, and then I hear this. I'm like, shit, I got to go back. So I think it was the interpreter, and I'll be honest, I did not want to hear what I heard, because everything in my mind wanted me to get the hell away from that helicopter. But I hear this, I'm like, holy shit, like, we have to go get this guy. As I'm going down, and I see the guy basically with one of the injured guys on his back, pulling him out of the helicopter. I'm like, wow. Like, my own eyes saw this, and I'm like, it was almost like a wow moment, like, holy shit, that dude's a hero, like what I'm witnessing right now. And I'm not even there yet. Like, I'm halfway back down the hill. And I get to the spot where we kind of meet up, where he was dragging him out of the helo, and then we met up and kind of did assessment there. And that's when we're like, okay, we still need to get this guy to the top of the hill to evac him. I did whatever treatment I could right then and there, but we were still kind of in a hot spot, and you're not really supposed to, treat when we're not in a safe area. So I did a quick assessment. There was him, two other guys. You didn't even tell anyone anything. I don't know for how many days, but Mike found you and gave you shit for not saying anything. But the rest of the guys, we got halfway up to help to a plateau, basically, where we could get one of the Blackhawks in to evac. And carrying them up the side of that hill was brutal for the guys that were doing it. I was behind, and I'm just holding on, pushing him up as well, because it's I was trying to keep pressure on the wound itself. So we were in that one location, kind of triaging, making sure everyone's good to go. And then I hear a helicopter come in, and I didn't know this at the time. I did once we landed from our evac point, but the helicopter was bingo fuel. Like, he was supposed to be gone, a long time ago. Here's another hero in this story, because I can guarantee you, if that helo didn't stick around, some lives would have been lost that day for sure. I guarantee you. And this is how bad it was. We got on the helo and evac'd a patient to Tarankout, so basically where I had been, not even weeks before, up there for a month. And I could see, as I'm looking at the helo, oh my God, we're going back to this place that I was at. I know these people, they're great, and they've never lost a life. They have surgical suite there, and they can help, right? So I was super happy. But as we were coming in, the helo ran out of fuel. We couldn't even land in the camp. We landed outside of the camp, and then an ambulance came and got us. That's how bingo fuel. Like, he had no fuel on him whatsoever. And that's when I realized, holy shit, like he did stick around and he didn't have to. So that just blew my mind what he had done.
I heard against orders, actually. I heard he was being told.
He did. Yes, that's right. I do remember that too. Yeah, I think he actually got in shit for it, but for me, he should have got a medal. Yeah.
I think both. I think he got in shit, and he actually got medals and stuff as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get both, I guess. So yeah, good for him, because without him, I don't know what, or without them, I guess there was two of them, but yeah. So it was touch and go. They did surgery right there, and I basically followed the patient right through to Germany. And then as he went home, well, he actually stayed and I went back, because I hadn't even been back to my room. They gave me clothes. I didn't even have a passport, anything. And I was leaving Afghanistan and flying to Germany, they just gave me some cash. And this is back when, Germany wasn't even ready for Canadians yet, for Canadian patients yet, like Canadian injured. This wasn't really a thing back then. But luckily, as I was getting off the bus, so we get off the plane, get on a bus, and transfer to the hospital, I'm looking out the window of the bus, and one of our old docs from the Hill is there. I'm like, oh my God. I knew he was posted to Germany, but he was nowhere near where the hospital was, but he was there. And I was like, oh, thank God. So, I had people throughout the whole entire experience kind of there to, help me through it and help the patient through it as well. So, yeah.
The patient he's an operator. He's one of the guys that was on the hit. It was really, really, I mean, I've heard the stories. You were there in TK with the blood bank.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great story. So I'm not kidding when I tell you there was 50 dudes lined up outside of the hospital giving blood. And they were just lining up. And I was in tears because I couldn't believe what they were doing for the patient. I want to call him by his name, but everything's telling me not to. To the point where he got so much blood in TK that he jokes, it's not a joke, but he's 75% Australian now, because the Aussies gave him so much blood. Like, it's incredible. Yeah, they were so supportive there, and it was just a humbling experience to go back there and see just the brotherhood that we had from being there weeks before. It was incredible.
Yeah. It was a wild thing, and the crazy thing is he made a full recovery.
He's back to work full time and doing awesome. Awesome. Yeah.
But that wasn't enough for you. You had to go back.
Yeah, I went back 2 more times after that. But everything starts to blend. Like we were talking before doing this, there's a lot of time gaps or something that, not sure what was what anymore. But yes, we did do, I did another couple of tours. And of course, there was always something going on pretty much with everyone, at least every time I went out, unless I wore my ear pro, and then people just made me wear it all the time, no matter where we went. Yeah.
You were on that other, I never liked the mobility ones because it meant I didn't get to eat as much.
I know. They were making fun of me because I felt like when I came back, I was the only one that put on weight, and everyone else was losing weight over there. I didn't mind the rations. Yeah. The one
next tour, didn't you? You guys did a real sticky mobility op the next tour, didn't you?
Yes, we did. It it was a long one. Actually, to this day, I'm so mad at the other medic that was with me. So I had gone on basically everything, and so any op, anything that came up, I was going out, and I was fine with that. But there was one time where they were going out, like you said, on a mobility, and mobility is, it's long, it's not fun. You're basically in the Badlands for however long it is. So this one was a long one, and I wasn't going. The other medic was going, and I remember I was so excited. I was getting up early, like 5, to say goodbye to everyone as they were going. And, I'm coming back from the mess, and they're like, "Are you not ready to go?" I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not going. The other guy's going on this one." And they're like, "You didn't hear?" I'm like, "What do you mean I didn't hear?" "The other guy is puking and shitting right now. Like, he is sick." I'm like, "That fucking, like, he kept rotten shrimp under his bed so he wouldn't go on this trip. I swear to God, that's what he did. That bastard." I'm sure to this day I still call him on it. Like, "Yeah, where's your rotten shrimp you had under your bed so you wouldn't go?" So, like, I'm like, they're leaving in half an hour, and I'm just getting up to say goodbye to them. And sure enough, I'm like, "Oh shit!" So I had to go get my stuff ready. Luckily, it's already packed to go, but still, you're mentally not really prepared to go. And so off we went on this long mobility. It was like a month long. And this is where, yeah. So, as scary as the helo situation was, it's probably not the scariest moment I've been in. One of the more hairier moments in my books, anyway, was when we went into a valley, very, one way in, one way out valley, and it wasn't a good. It was like, there weren't a lot of friendlies in this valley, basically. So we hear over radio chatter, because we had done some stuff and basically pissed people off there. So I'm not even getting into all the contacts that we were in throughout this entire time. But this one particular one is, when they're not getting out of this valley alive. This is what we hear over radio chatter, is that we're not getting out of this valley alive. So that's not a comforting feeling to hear, period. So we're packing up and going. So there's a choke point where the only place you can go to get out of the valley is through this choke point, and we're going in it. One of the ATVs or a tire blows on one of the vehicles just before the choke point. So now we're waiting for the tire to get changed, and we can hear over the radio. We have the interpreter in my vehicle, and they're saying, "Okay, they're just around the corner. As soon as they come around the corner, we're gonna kill them all." And I'm like, "Are we still going around the corner? Like, do you guys not hear what the fuck they're saying?" Like, so apparently they did, but we were doing it anyway. So sure enough, like they said, we came around that corner, and it's mountains on either side, and we're in a little valley, and they lit us up from all angles. And it was like, so it was, the feeling of, okay, we have to push through. There's no stopping here and fighting. We got to push through. So that's what we basically did, is we fought all the way through this valley, firing. If you could pick someone out in the mountain, if you were lucky. And so I don't know how many rounds we went through in that small valley. And time-wise, who knows? It could have been 15 minutes. It could have been 2 hours. I really don't know. But I do remember getting through to the other side, and then with it reconsolidated and make sure, okay, is anyone hurt? Okay, no one's hurt. How the hell is no one hurt? Like, it's beyond me how no one got hurt there. Like, it just blows my mind. And then one of my now I'm the senior medic at this time, and I have a younger medic, and I'm looking over at him, who's now one of these, and I'm yelling, "Hey, are you okay?" And he's like, that he was driving, and the guy that was with him's like, "Is JC okay?" Like, he's screaming like this was a great time or something like that. And my adrenaline was still going, but I wanted to, break the ice with him, make sure that he's not stuck in this, oh my God, I almost got killed zone that he was in. But yeah, so that was another scary moment. Again, broad daylight. Nothing, really was on our side to get out of that. And we still, although I'm a bad luck when it comes to that, I've had a horseshoe up my ass when it comes to, people getting through hairy moments like that. Yeah.
Kind of makes you wonder sometimes, like, just statistically how something like that is even possible, right?
So they reported after that, we got a lot of the bad guys in that valley on that run through. I don't know how. I mean, I was driving for the most part, but, I'm just trying to stay in, behind the vehicle in front of me and not, because there was RPGs, there was other stuff going off, and you think, okay, we're in a spot where if we stop, we're done. And even we had Afghans with us that dismounted to try and fight, and we're like, no, get back on the vehicle. We need to push through this. We can't stay here and fight. We don't have the high ground, and it's not worth it. So, but yeah, we were told that we'd taken care of a lot that day. So they say anyway.
I heard the guns were pretty busy that day.
Yes, they were. I was for that vehicle, I was driving, and there was twin C6s above me, and I was getting all the rounds, hot rounds down my deck. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting hit. I'm thinking, yeah, kept me warm that day, that's for sure. Yeah, a lot of rounds went down range that day. Absolutely.
It's amazing. You've done a ton of stuff. Like, did you ever think, as a medic, you would have had a career like that?
No, never in the fight like that. You're always, you think you're going to be a tactical down behind or whatever it is that you're supposed to be. But yeah, man, being right in the thick of things, it was definitely an eye opener, but I wouldn't change it, for the world. I wanted to be, right beside you guys during it. So number one, you knew I could take care of myself. And number two, if anyone was injured, I was, there right beside you to, hopefully take care of you. But yeah.
That's awesome. So having gone through it all, what would you tell a young soldier or somebody who wanted to join the forces?
Yeah. Holy shit. Well, it's funny you say that, because I have a 19-year-old who's going through RMC right now. And I have a 20-year-old who wants to join as well. You know what? It's I don't regret what I did. Yes, it took a toll on me. It took a toll on me physically. It took a toll on me mentally, and it did for most of us, especially during our window of 2000 and maybe, well, since 2001 basically. Not a lot of people got away unscathed, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically. So but I support anyone that would want to join and fight for your country. You have to believe in it, and you have to it's not easy to leave after, and that's That's one thing that I found, and I don't know how it was for you, but I was medically released in 2016, and I had gone to work as a PA in northern BC, and I had lost that, brotherhood that that we were a part of, and it was tough. It was really tough. So when you and I both, you're a founder of Spartan Wellness, and I just the word Spartan Wellness. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but we both know that you do way more work than me.
Yeah, well, I work for you, we'll say. Yeah, but I'm doing this thing 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out in northern BC, and I'm just not doing well. Right, the brotherhood's not there. I'm like, this is tough, really tough. And then I see Riyadh had like Spartan Wellness on his LinkedIn account or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's a cool name, and I wonder what that is. And it's said health and wellness or something. So I had contacted him, say, hey, do you need a PA for whatever you're doing? No idea what you guys are doing. And he's like, as a matter of fact, yeah, we really like a PA. And then he explained to me, basically what was going on, what it was all about, and how, it was meant to help, veterans and first responders. And I'm like, this is something I was doing just before I got out of the military. I stayed at the Hill, and I had helped, with this OSIS program, the Operational Stress Injury Social Support, and this peer support back and forth. I thought, you know what, this really is needed for us. It's needed for basically everyone, because a lot of times people don't want to go and talk to a doctor or a psychiatrist or a psychologist about shit that they went through. They want to talk to someone who's been through what they've been through. So this to me was like a no-brainer to come on board with Spartan Wellness and help. It definitely changed my life, especially the medical cannabis part of it, because when you're on antidepressants and anti-inflammatories and anti-everything, it takes a toll on your guts. It takes a toll on your mind, and you just don't feel present. And so to be able to pound the CBD into me throughout the day and feel okay about it, and able to get a workout in, without any pain, and have that energy, and clears your mind a bit. It's definitely nice to have, So for us with the Spartan Wellness, I'm so glad that we've been making a difference, and it's been a good journey for me, because it helped me heal, and it's between you and I, the brotherhood is back, and I like that, so that's big for me.
Yeah, buddy. Like I said at the beginning, there's a lot of great medics out there, but to me, JC, you're the greatest medic that the Canadian Forces had, and you're still saving lives today. So big salute to you. Hey, thanks so much for sharing your story. I know that people are gonna love it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, for those that know me, they're going to say, what the hell is Devon talking about being one of the best medics? Because they know me, so they're going to call you on it. It'll be in the comment section down below. It's like, who is this guy? Yeah.
People know. Hey,
Yeah.
It's just too bad you're never any good at eating food or playing foosball, because I'm the real king when it comes to that table. I'm going to prove it to you next time I see you.
Yeah, bring it on.
Hey, love you, buddy.
Thanks for having me, man.